This exhibition is called Painting at Visa, and it's part of our 10th anniversary celebrations in celebrating our faculty and to showcase the different work that our faculty does. So these are 5 instructors who teach at Visa. And so it's really great to see all the work in a room because you can see there's quite a variety, and that's what we always want to show students, that there's not one way to make painting, that there's not one particular style. Often when students take a painting class, they'll look at the instructor's website and then think that's the way to paint, and then they'll try and paint like the instructor, but for them to see all the paintings, you can see they're really very individual, and then students have to navigate their own way and find out, well, what kind of painting do they want to do. So behind us is Barry Zeekley's work, and he teaches a lot of courses that relate to working with representation and abstraction in one painting. So you could see birds and abstract elements, and they have a kind of scientific look to them as well. He's also done this very monumental piece behind us, which has a look of, maybe being cells, looking into the microscope. So it's interesting to see also that the question about scale, like people always think, oh, paintings have to be big, but paintings could be big or small. It just depends what you want to say. So Barry has these 2 extreme ranges of scale, from these small rectangles to this big square. And then behind his work is beside his work is Jeremy Herndl. And this is, obviously it's a painting of a mountain, but it's much more like he was actually on the mountain. So he's trying to paint a landscape that he's in as opposed to a landscape that he's looking at. Although he's looking at it, but it's very much about that whole experience. And then when you get close up to it, you could really see the thickness of the paint and the real physicality of the paint. And he also did this one called The Hungry Ghost. And this is an ongoing project of his where he talks about the spaces where nature and urban environments meet, and that one isn't necessarily better. There's no hierarchy, that they kind of exist simultaneously. One of my students remarked that it almost seems as if nature is destroying the urban structure, which I thought is interesting because we always think of it the opposite way. But you can see like the sidewalk, the tree is kind of disintegrating. And then over here is Todd Lambeth's work. So he has this triptych. And Todd is focused on painting things that are right in front of him. His painting is a lot about kind of casual observation. And I believe the title of this work is 3 Different Days. So, or it could be 3 different months, but the idea is that it's probably 3 different days, and that how you think things are the same, but they're different. And it's not only look different, but the painter's different. So there's no such thing as repeating the same thing. So a lot of his work involves repeating the same subject matter and seeing how it is always different. So it's sort of questions of, what we're looking at as artists, and also as a painter, what he sees. And then this is Neil's work. And Neil's work also revolves around questions dealing with how we look at art. So this is an experience of looking at art in a museum. We've all done this. We walked through one room to get to another and just kind of see the thing on the peripheral vision. So his subject matter often is art history, and how do we look at painting. So it's an unusual idea to make a painting in a way on how we're not looking at the art. And then he has a few more. This one at the far end of the gallery is actually looking at that same subject matter here, but looking at it perhaps reflected in a doorknob. So again, another way of seeing art through a sort of oblique vision. And then Kate's paintings these are kind of narrative paintings done with oil paint, and she also uses gouache. And she, creates these stories that seem to be from her imagination and storybooks. And there's a really curious one down this way where there's heads of animals floating. And someone asked me, a student was asking me, is Kate trying to show three-dimensional space? And I said, yes, but also many other things. That there's so many other things that are unexpected with all these cut-out heads, and as a viewer, we have to try and make sense of it and see, like, what does it mean? Like, we don't actually see them as cut-out heads per se, but they represent other things, our memories of animals, or they almost, instead of being macabre, like a cut-off head should be macabre, it's actually quite humorous and lighthearted. So it's kind of interesting to play with that, take things that might be dark and switch it around, switch our expectations around. And the exhibition is open until March 16th. So come on down and see it.